Ben Parker. I'm from Church Stretton in Shropshire and I'm 41 years old.
Hello, my name is Gemma. I'm 36 years old and I'm from Essex.
I'm Donna, I'm 50 years old and I'm from West Yorkshire.
Hello, my name is Angela Biggs and I'm 67 years old. Oh my gosh. I've lived in England for about 20 years and before that in Hong Kong. Now I'm in Dorset.
Hello, my name's John Foxwell. I'm currently 59 and I live in South Wales, a little place called Cwmbran.
First diagnosed in 2018 and I chose to go on a clinical trial of which I started in August of 2019.
Like many of us with Pompe, I wasn't diagnosed until quite late. I was actually 55 when I was diagnosed and currently I'm not on treatment. My symptoms are respiratory the majority of the time, but I struggle with movement, as we all do.
I was diagnosed in November 2007, just before treatment came available on the NHS, and I started ERT, of my treatment today, on April 2008.
I was diagnosed in August 2016 and have been on a clinical trial since January 2017.
I was diagnosed about 1990 and I am on treatment and it's Myozyme ERT.
Since I've been diagnosed and I know that I have Pompe disease, I can track back and see when my first symptom was, which was roughly around the age of 13, when snow skiing with family and I fell down. I would find it difficult to then get myself back up. So that was my first real sign. But really, when I first started to struggle the most was since I had my son, who is now 14 years old, so back in 2007. Since then, I've struggled to climb the stairs, get up off of the sofa, and as time went on, I struggled to do more and more things. To be honest, I just thought I was lazy and unfit. I didn't think any more of it until my sister actually started to get the same symptoms as me, literally less than a year before we were diagnosed. So we have a very, very good diagnosis journey. I'm very blessed in that way, I believe, as there are a lot of people who are obviously misdiagnosed for years. There was some things that we were investigating, which now we know is Pompe. For example, we always had high levels of ASTs and ALTs in our liver, and we always wondered what that was. I've had liver biopsy, I've tested my liver to check for other conditions, which were ruled out, and I always suffered with headaches when I woke in the morning as well. And I would say literally about probably a year before I was diagnosed, I was really struggling with fatigue. I was struggling to make myself feel refreshed, and this would normally last at work until probably lunchtime. So that was a massive factor for me. But my main symptoms then were struggling to pick things up off the floor, climbing the stairs, getting out of bed, and falling quite often.
My first symptoms are difficult to quantify really because there were so many. It was a long time ago. School sports, I suppose. Too slow for walking, too slow for tennis, used to fall off horses, all that sort of thing. I used to go to the gym a lot. I went to a gym associated with an orthopaedic hospital, and the consultants there wanted knee and hip and spine x-rays because I was having pain with my knees, and then they wanted a biopsy, so I came to London to have that, and at the National, and I had a thigh biopsy with no anaesthetic, which they thought was necessary then. It took 3 months to get the results, and the doctor said, make life easy on yourself, and patted me on the shoulder. And that was dreadful. I felt bereft and alone, and no one to help, no one to advise. So I stopped the gym, put on some weight, had a baby, came to live in England, and then started the ERT.
It's really odd having Pompe because there are many things you find you can and can't do. For instance, when I was growing up, I could never run, and consequently I didn't do sports. I hated it. But you find things you can do. So I found that I could dance. Really odd thing for me, as you see me now. But at one point I was a professional dancer and I taught dancing. So my posture has always been really important to me. And I think this has actually helped with Pompe as time goes by, in that I have to keep correcting my posture. The thing that actually drove me to find why I was struggling was that I couldn't breathe. I've had a really nice life in so many respects, varying careers, but I was a teacher, head teacher, advisor, worked for Number 10, but in the end I owned my own company and I developed an international translation company. So I spent most of my time traveling the world. And as time progressed, I found that I couldn't lie down. Every time I laid down, I'd struggle to breathe. I'd wake up the next morning really tired. And as time progressed, it got to that point where my idea of booking into a hotel was to ask, was there a good chair so I could sleep in it? And that was, for me, was the driving point to finding an answer as to why I was struggling to breathe, and which led to my diagnosis of Pompe.
First started getting suspicious when I was at a family do, a Christmas do, and everybody was making fun of me for not being able to get up off the sofa without lifting myself up. Shortly after, we actually moved house and we had to change doctors, and I just happened to mention that. They referred me, within me being a new patient, for blood tests which showed my CK levels were really high. In turn, that led to me being referred to a neurologist, a rheumatologist, who did various tests. In that time, I slowly got worse, realised that I couldn't do the things I used to do, like walking up the stairs, struggled with that, getting up from the floor, obviously, as I've said, getting up from sitting to standing. And I was just slowly but surely getting a lot more tired each day. I had to go for a lie down and a sleep each day. And then looking back after my diagnosis, I obviously still had it, you know, I had it as a child because I was never good at sports. People used to take the mickey out of me and things like that. So yeah, and then after I'd been referred to the rheumatologist, they said it wasn't their department. They referred me to the neurologist, and that's how I became diagnosed with Pompe.
My first symptoms, really looking back, were, I mean, I can never do forward rolls at school. I was always an awful runner, anything to do with exercise. Like many others, just labelled myself with lazy, being lazy. Wasn't till I was really travelling in Australia and I tried to play some football, and as I ran, my back from the waist up just started to tip forward. And it must have been another 5-6 years later, I went and paid to see a physio. She took one look at my back and said I'm missing some muscles, and 18 months later, lots of tests, jabs and results, they diagnosed me with Pompe.
I think you should consider yourselves lucky to have a Pompe's headquarters. The PST people share their knowledge. They make diet books, 101 top tips, pamphlets, wallet alert cards, organise meetings and conferences and casual get-togethers, all sorts of things. So my piece of advice is to seek them out. Ignore the problem that you have, for whatever reason, won't stop it happening. But you could do something about it and be more prepared. Your diet, breathing, exercises would all help. So start them and ignore them then and live your life. Do what you can while you can, and before you can't.
My one piece of advice would be don't let Pompe define you or beat you. There are always ways around every problem. For me, the best thing I did over the last few years was buy a scooter. It's a bit of a mean off-road one. Gets me to places I want to get to, allows me to enjoy life being outside rather than struggling walking and scared of falling over all the time.
I would like to offer some reassurance to those that have thought about trials or possibly would be thinking about trials in the future. I would definitely say go for it. I have gained a lot more pros from being on a trial than cons. In fact, the only con, in my opinion, was doing lots of paperwork, which was every 3 months, so really not that often. So that's really the only drag in it. And you know, you get so much support with being on the trial from your medical centre. So I would definitely say that if you do have that opportunity, it's something worth really thinking about. And that's how I made that decision. You know, I wrote down the pros, I wrote down the cons, I took time to think about it, talk with my family and friends, and come to the decision. And ultimately, Pompe disease is rare, and the trial that I was going on needed naive patients. So that means you couldn't have had any other treatment. So basically, a newly diagnosed patient was what they required. And I was that option. And at the end of the day, I was either going to go on to regular treatment or I was going to go on the trial. So either way, I was going to be receiving treatment. So why not help out the rest of the Pompe community by trying to see if this trial could go on to then be marketed at a later date.
Many of us with Pompe use other devices to help us. I use a BiPAP machine. For those that don't use one, it literally allows me to remove all the carbon dioxide that builds up in my body. My diaphragm's paralysed, and so I can't breathe out enough carbon dioxide to clear it. This has been one of the problems over the last sort of 10 years I've noticed. The nice thing about the BiPAP is that once I've been on it, I feel so much better. I wake up in the morning refreshed, no headaches, no fuss. I sometimes go on it in the afternoon if I'm tired, and I feel the cold more. And so by going on the BiPAP machine, I actually wake up and my temperature improves. So if you're struggling with breathing and you're nervous about using a BiPAP, please don't. The first hour can feel a little bit strange, but the relief you get from using it makes such a positive difference. So I would say to anyone that is having sleep problems, look at a BiPAP, see if you can try one. You might not suit it, but you might do. And if you do, then for me, it's a lifeline. Since being diagnosed with Pompe, life has changed, I think, because there are many things I can't do now. For instance, I can't bend down to pick up a cap off the side, and little bits have changed. But for me, the advice I'd give to someone with Pompe is to keep doing what you do to the best you can. Little changes make a big difference. Pick up sticks, I find really useful. I always work on the basis if it falls on the floor, it stays there until either my wife comes home and picks it up, or I can get a pickup stick to pick it up.
Being diagnosed, I got some information about the AGSD, which I decided to join, and I'm finding out that they actually held a conference each year. I booked a place straight away as I felt it would be a fantastic way to meet other people with Pompe and just share experiences and get some more knowledge. But I have to say, the conference was an absolute game changer for me. I had such a good time meeting everybody. sharing experiences, because as we all know, Pompe is a bizarre disease. Everybody struggles in different ways and forms and things like that. So that was an absolute eye-opener, but in a good way, in a positive way. And then somehow I ended up being a member of the PST team. We won't go as to how I ended up that and as a member, but that was the best thing ever, absolutely. And just being at the conference, just learning so much from the professional speakers, and I can't say just how much I'd recommend going to the next conference. It was just amazing. I mean, I went on my own. I was only just started my treatment. I hadn't been diagnosed a full year, but it was just so uplifting. I came away feeling so positive, and I've gained a new family, my Pompe family, who I absolutely, well, it's amazing. I just love being part of that family. And I came away with so much confidence and the attitude that I was going to embrace Pompe in a positive way. I always remember when I was first diagnosed, one of the nurses said to me, just remember, this isn't the end, this is the beginning. And I use that all the time in everything I do, everything I face. I just think, no, because at the end of the day, you can either sink or swim. And the conference made me realise that there's no way on this earth I am going to sink for nobody.
The Pompe Support Team is there to support you. If there's anything we can do to help, in advice, support, even if it's just somebody you want to talk to, one of us will always be available. Facebook pages are great. You can talk to us on Facebook, you can email us, you can ring us. We don't mind. What we prefer is that you have the support you need at any time. So, thank you, and I look forward to speaking to you in person when we meet at the next conference.
Because I'm a member of the PST, I really feel that we all have something to offer to the other members and the community of Pompe. Each and every one of us has a different experience of Pompe due to the different symptoms and things like that, and the way it affects us all. So I think the PST is absolutely fantastic because people can reach out to different people for different things that they need. But we are all there all the time for everybody, either via phone, Facebook, email or anything. And then all the things that we do, like the Tune In Tuesdays for people to join in, and just everything that the AGSD does with people, you know, to do with Pompe. And I can't stress enough the conference. But at the end of the day, the PST are there for the Pompe community, our own little family.
So one thing that really overwhelmed me when becoming diagnosed was the support that I got from my Pompe family. I do call them my Pompe family because you literally were there for me. And the PST, the Pompe Support Team, has been a massive support for me. And it took me no time at all to make the decision to join in and be part of that team. I love being able to give people back newly diagnosed, or even those that have had, you know, Pompe for many years. They love having that support, and I love being able to offer that to them. If you ever want to talk to me, I'm always here. As you can tell, I talk quite a bit, so it's one of my things that I'm good at. So if you do want to reach out to me, have a chat, you know, we're all in this together, all in the same boat really, and all we can do is help each other and support each other, and that's the best gift that I can give to you.